Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's Wednesday, January the 14th, 26. Good evening, council and staff, and those that are joining us virtually. I'd like to welcome our clerk and Councillor Rodriguez that are with us virtually. For those that are with us in person, I would remind you to please ensure your communication devices are placed on vibrate or put in the silent mode. I hope everyone had an opportunity to enjoy the Christmas season, and now we get back to taking care of the affairs of the municipality in the year ahead. Council, we have a full and busy agenda this evening. We have 2 delegations, the drainage meeting, as well. We'll be going in camera. Of course, Mother Nature is not having a good day, so we'll try to keep things moving and get home safe. So let's get started. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral lands of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It's through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and the air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, please declare it at the proper time. Let's go to item 4 on the agenda. First of all, we have a delegation. I'd like to introduce Mr. Murray Pound, who is speaking regarding the 2025 residential tax rate. Mr. Pound, as the clerk has indicated to you, you have 15 minutes. So
I won't take 15 minutes. You'll be happy to hear. I'll make this quick. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your introduction, Your Honor. So I've been asked by a group of my neighbors and 7 households in the Blue Coast Estates community, which is on the lakefront just north of Kamalaki, to come and talk to you tonight. We have an understanding of how rural municipal taxation is accrued in Ontario and in our area, and largely that's based off of assessments, and in Ontario it's the MPAC assessments. As some of you know, I'm originally from Alberta, and it's not much different there. Each municipality has their own assessment agency. It's not a provincial assessment agency. However, there is an opportunity to negotiate. The assessments can be negotiated, or what they call the mill rate can be negotiated to equalize residential taxation payments, so that one individual is not paying exorbitantly amount higher than their neighbor or someone that's been provided similar services. So I'm going to read this out so I stay on track. Might sound like a bit of a robot, but that way we'll get everything out and it'll make things quick. So as you can see, I did provide a chart. I don't know if you can bring it up on your laptops. As you can see from the chart provided, the homes represented in blue bars reside in our community and are the balance of our neighbors in the colored bars. They reside immediately located to the south across our shared access road, which is Queen Street. Together, this combined community shares the same amenities: access to the lake, locales to golf courses, restaurants, hotels, you name it, schools. So because we're really only about 150 feet apart from one another, we share all the same access. We also share the same access via trail through the Blue Coast Estates green space to the lake. So you'll also see that MPAC has created assessments that are grossly different, 30, 40, 50% higher than the homes at Blue Coast Estates to the homes that are on Queen Street. And if you care to dig into it, or we could certainly provide this in a follow-up email. The size of lots are equitably the same, and the homes are equitably same construction, and have all been built within the last 5 years, and are of the same, let's say, luxury and amenity stature. As property taxes are valued based on what would seem unscientific assessments, and really, that's not directed at you, that's directed at MPAC, because their assessments are not done in Ontario the way they are done in other provinces, where they're based on building plans, assessment of value, the original plans that are submitted to the communities, and also real estate assessment valuations. Really, we're looking at the questions of impact assessments, and that's what's changing and making the variation in what we're paying in Blue Coast Estates from our neighbors that are 100 feet across the street and other areas in the Kamalaki region. So my three questions are, and these I'm not asking for anything from you tonight. I'm not asking for any resolutions or anything to be decided upon, but I'm posing these so that hopefully this can form some discussion on future policy for our area. Why are homes of similar construction in the same relative community enjoy the same amenities experiencing such divergent tax rates? Number one. Same homes, similar properties, similar area, divergent tax rates. And in some cases, 30-40% different. It's substantial. Number two, each property enjoys the same services from the county and municipalities. Therefore, garbage collection, school, busing, etc. Therefore, the difference seems to look like, at the face of it, a luxury tax. And I know that may sound like a swear word, but that's what it comes to when you see that there's a difference, and it's not based on services provided. Other than that, it's a luxury tax. So I'd encourage someone to explain that to me. Doesn't have to be tonight, but can be in a follow-up conversation. Thirdly, here's the ask. Is there an opportunity to make the taxation more equitable as to encourage new property investment in the county? Now, many of you know I'm a home builder, and I was a home builder and land developer in Alberta. And one of the first things that crushes future growth and development is exorbitant tax. And people understand that they're going to move to an area and they're going to have large tax rates imposed on them. They'll look places where that's not going to happen to them. What I will tell you is the town of Plympton-Wyoming and the county is a fantastic place to live. My wife and I enjoy living here. We enjoy the safety and everything else that's provided us. However, other people might not know that ahead of time. And if we're looking at growing the town and growing the county, they're going to look at this at face value. They're going to look at what it's going to cost them to live here. So this is what I'm posing to you as your future growth directive. This is something that you might want to have your own discussions on for the future. I appreciate you can't give me a decision and a resolution tonight. I'm just trying to pose questions so that we can move forward in the future. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Pound. Any questions before Mr. done? Councillor Bolger?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I do have one question. So I live in one of the newer subdivisions in Arrow Woods. And I know, talking to neighbors when we have officially moved over to that house, is they submitted into MPAC for that reassessment to relook at it, comparing to neighbors or compared to other properties. And I know in the Arrow Woods area, those ones are closer to the Queen Street ones that you listed there. So do you know if any of those neighbors have done that process throughout where they can give the addresses?
Yes, I know. I'm glad you asked that question because I know of two neighbors. They don't want to be mentioned tonight. They didn't want to actually be part of our formal presentation because they were worried that their impact assessment would grow, which did when they asked for a reassessment once. Another neighbor did ask for a reassessment. It dropped, but you have to ask for that every single time. The impact assessments are faulty. You know what the impact assessments are. You know what those valuations are. There needs to be some model of equalization. So correcting the impact assessments, that's putting the cart before the horse, I think. If we all know that the impact assessments are not fair and equitable, because quite frankly, the impact assessments on the homes that are on the south side of Queen Street are extremely low, far too low. And the assessments in Blue Coast Heights are still lower than what the actual value of the home is. But because it's based on a ratio, we're paying a lot more. So if you take that ratio out and look at it as maybe a service provided model, a front footage model, which is what's done in a lot of municipalities in Alberta, your assessments are based on front footage and what it's actually costing the municipality or the county to service said lot. And building the model on that in that way, because we're going to have a lot of people in this community. Now, this model probably worked fantastically 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when the differential between homes was very close. But now you're seeing very divergent values in properties in especially along the lakefront and acreages and the like, right? So I don't know if I answered your question, Councillor.
Councillor. Okay, Councillor Wolbett,
I was going to ask a much similar question because I appealed a piece of property that I had purchased to Impact time. And of course, you got to have all the information. That's the big deal, right? And in fact, my assessment dropped by like $80,000 because of the appeal. So it did work for me. I would have thought that would have been one of the first things that you would want to do.
Absolutely.
Except now, the other side of the road, who paying considerably less, may suffer. In fact,
That's right.
like it's, one goes up, one goes down.
That's right. So basing your taxation policy on MPAC's assessments is obviously a faulty model. So, and if you look at the model that I presented you, if we took $80,000 off of all of our assessments, we're still 20–30% higher than the homes across the street, and they're the similar homes. So if you go through that process and you do it every 2 years and you're successful, and if they don't raise, and a lot of people aren't going to want to do that, and is every single resident in our region going to want to go through that process and load that on MPAC? Are they even going to know how to do it? Are they going to have the tools? Is a 70-year-old widow going to know how to do that? Right? That's always been in that house along the lake, and she's been there since the 60s. Is she going to know how to do that?
This is the fear. This is what happens.
You know, is a new Canadian family going to know that? Is a young family from London even going to know that's an option to them? So I wanted to just present this more holistically and comparatively, so that you as an organization could look at the future of our region and promoting, because I believe that this region has an amazing opportunity from a development standpoint and enriching this area from a development standpoint. But if a region starts getting known for an unfair tax rate, that really puts the brake on future development and ability to promote.
Well, the other thing I'd say, we've had comparisons on taxes in our community versus the surrounding communities. And our treasurer is here tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're kind of right in the middle for taxes.
Okay,
So
I'll give you, Bob, I'm glad you said that too. So I moved from 6723 Cardinal Lane, lake access, lake property, smaller home, but quite a large lot, larger than the one I'm on right now, on the one home I'm in right now. So the difference between the taxes, and I'm being provided the exact same services from the county and the municipality, $7,200 difference per annum. So you can't tell me, okay, that it's equitable. Are we equitable to other communities? That really doesn't matter. I think you want to be in a position where you are promoting this area and you have a competitive advantage. So it looks like there needs to be more of an equalization of taxation rates, because there's some people that are paying a very low amount, and hence I know, because I was just doing that a year ago in a similar home, and now we're on the other end of the spectrum.
Thank you. Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this presentation, Murray. I did kind of do a little bit looking into what you were speaking of, and ever since the market values have been frozen at 2016 values, this seems to be a problem that's happening right across the province, not just here in Plympton-Wyoming, with the inequity or perceived inequity, I'm not sure, in the valuations, because they're supposed to start at take a 2016 market assessment on a new build and try and give you a valuation from there. So it is a broader problem that is happening across the province.
Great.
I mean, the province has been and continues to review the whole MPAC system, because it is quite outdated, as you state. So I think this is a perfect opportunity for yourself and your neighbors as well to provide your comments and your concerns and your proposed solutions at the provincial level to help inform new policies that municipalities will be guided by in the future whenever they decide to let us know what they're doing on that front. I would also encourage that you do those impact appeals. There are a couple options in that process. And I believe by statute, the municipality is automatically involved in that appeal process. And at that point, that's where maybe some advocating could be done on a municipal level, should they agree with your concerns. So I would just encourage, why the opportunity is now is to advocate at the provincial level.
Kristen, thank you. And I agree that there's some advocacy that needs to be done. However, that's not my job. Unfortunately, I put that on you and the rest of the people in this room and the rest of the people that are charged with leading municipalities in Ontario. If you address, and you, to use your words, you address that it's problematic and there's a broken model. I'm one person. Certainly I can go in and get my impact reviewed. I might get it dropped $80,000 like Bob said, and that's really only going to reduce my taxes $1,500. My taxes on that home are still going to be $14,000 this year. So it's, and the home I had the year before was $3,700. So it doesn't solve the problem. I'm one person. I'm just one ratepayer. I don't have the clout that certainly a municipality, a region, a county would have at that table. So I don't think, I appreciate that you would instill all that confidence in me and think that I'd be able to charge forward and wave my flag, but I don't think I have that ability. Tonight, I wanted to really bring this and share this information in a, maybe a more open way than instead of someone coming here and beating on the desk and demanding their taxes to be reduced, to maybe talk about building a better model for, and maybe the county's model can be different than the rest of the province, and that can be a contributing factor to its future success. So anyways, I took more time than I planned on.
You are over by 2 minutes, but
Yeah.
last question, wrap up, Councillor Beaudry.
I just have a question for our staff, because my understanding is we're required to use impact for property tax assessments. Is that correct? Yeah, so the model, like I understand other provinces do it differently, but we have to use impact. So I would echo what Councillor Rodriguez says in the sense that all of Ontario, I would wager every municipality has written to the province in the last 4 years that I've been in here to do a reassessment to level the playing field.
Keep writing.
But so I can assure you, it's not just you waving a flag. It's not just us. Seems like we don't have any power on some things as well, but all the municipalities in Ontario are pushing for it.
Okay, so one of the things that I asked you to do, the last thing I asked you to do is look at your taxation methodology. And if we agreed that perhaps impact model is faulty, look at the assessments across the board in your region and come up with a better model that uses that impact assessment so that the taxes, the individual taxes, are more equitable and more service-based to the client. Because I'm paying, to be honest, we're paying a lot more money for the same services rendered as someone in half a kilometer away from me that is getting the exact same services from the municipality and the county. So then what that becomes is a luxury tax. And that's bad for future development and expansion of your region, which then creates more taxation for you. So anyways, thank you again for your time, folks.
Just speak to changing how the taxes are done. So in Ontario, we don't really have a mechanism to reduce the tax rate for certain properties. They do have the ability to apply a special area levy if there's a certain area that's getting extra services that other areas are not getting. But since you're receiving the same services in that area, there's not really a way to reduce that tax rate.
That was explained to me. But you do have the ability to create your own model. So you can create your own model. You can solve this problem if you want to. And so there's a lot of people that are paying an inequitable amount of taxes compared to others in your community for the same level of services provided. That's the only thing that I wanted to shed light on tonight.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Murray. Appreciate your presentation this evening.
I appreciate it. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you too, John.
Safe drive home. All right, we're going to go to our second delegation. This evening, it's my pleasure to introduce Inspector Ross Stewart from the Lambton Detachment, along with Mr. Greg Demchek, who is the chair of the Lambton. To work closely with you. I'm pleased to have you here this evening.
Thank you. And thank you very much for inviting us. We really do appreciate it. We were here last year and we enjoy coming to the council meetings for everybody. So I will be very brief, and Inspector will come up and do a much better job. This is obviously our detachment in Petrolia. This is the big part that I want to talk about, is the structure. So we have 10 voting members, and you have this in front of you. It's been sent to you. I won't read through all of it, but just know that the Lambton Group OP Detachment Board represents 9 member municipalities. So it's a large group contracted with the province, the municipal policing services by Ontario Provincial Police. The members of the municipality, it talks about section 33 there, and the province has 2 provincial appointees, and that is John McCharles and Shirley Durance. I am the chair, but I'm also a community rep at large. And then we have our municipality members that are listed there, including Mr. Atkinson, our your mayor, and they are all part of that. We have 4 non-voting members. Inspector Stewart, Sergeant Van Roboys, Assistant Sergeant Jordan Yancey, and then we have Mandy Pearson, our board secretary, who keeps us all in line and does a fabulous job. The OPP detachment boards, as defined under the Community Service and Policing Act in 2019, provides civilian input in relation to policing delivered by the OPP. I am very honored to be chair of this board. It is an amazing board that does a great job. And with our police services, I think we are well protected in our municipalities. These are the membership expense shared. So if you look at where you are there, Plympton-Wyoming is 12.73, and it goes all the way down the list there. Lambton Shores 29.63 and Alvinson 4.33. So it goes through what the expense shares are for the municipalities. At this point, I'd like to bring up Dr. Stewart to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for the opportunity to come before council to chat for a few minutes about what has been going on in Plympton-Wyoming in 2025. That's really the reason why I'm here. I know that the cost of policing is high. I think we all appreciate that. My personal philosophy is that you deserve to know who your detachment commander is. You deserve some face time with me to ask difficult questions if that's necessary, and also to share your priorities for me as to what you would like to see within your own individual community. The way that we are structured under the Community Safety and Policing Act is that we have 2 boards locally in Lambton, as Chair Numchuck has said. Point Edward is our second board. But when I do my reporting every other month to that board, it's on a very high level for the county as a whole. And although Mayor Atkinson will bring that information back to council, what you don't get is a report that really drills into what's happened specifically within Plympton-Wyoming. And I feel that that's important. So I like to do that at least once a year with each community if they would like me to. So that you know the specifics as to what has been going on, but also what my priorities are for the detachment, and to learn yours too. A little bit about myself, 27 years as a police officer, all with the OPP, spread between frontline patrol, forensics, frontline supervisor here in Lambton for a number of years, and then the operations manager in Lambton. Before moving on to Middlesex County for 3 years as the detachment commander in Middlesex. Very similar structure to that detachment as here. And really when I was asked to come back to Lambton back in July by Regional Command, it was in part, large part because of my familiarity with the community as well as police service boards and the priorities for those communities. So it was a good fit. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't miss the commute to London every day from Brights Grove. So what I would like to do, be mindful of the time, is provide you with a very high level overview of what has occurred in Plympton-Wyoming in 2025 from a policing standpoint. I'll also share some statistics in regard to the overall county that I think are relevant because it does impact your community from a safety standpoint. And then I want to share my priorities with you. And As Mayor Atkinson will tell you, sometimes I have a bit of a habit of talking, so I will try and do my best to be mindful of the 10 minutes or so that I have left. So I did provide the council with a 16-page report. I want to highlight just a couple of specific pages within that report. And then if there are specific questions that council has about the broader report, I'm happy to talk about that. I'd like to highlight first motor vehicle collisions. Now, the statistics we're going to talk about over the course of the next 4 slides are specific to Plympton-Wyoming. Okay? And you will see that the way that this report is structured is that it is for entire year, but you also have 3 years worth of data, 23, 24, and 25. So as it relates to collisions within your community, we're really at a point where it's actually fairly static with previous years. We have a very marginal increase of 6%. Most importantly, what I like to see, though, is the year-over-year statistics in relation to fatal collisions and non-fatal injury-related collisions. And you can see from 23, 24, and 25, I'm very pleased to see that in 2025, we did not have any fatal motor vehicle collisions within Plympton-Wyoming. Although there were still 44 other non-injury related collisions and 9 where injuries happened. The fatality decrease is significant, and I think that that's a good news story for the community. That is actually something that we've seen across the board throughout the county too, is a reduction in collisions. Moving on to the next page, this focuses on criminal code and provincial statute related charges. And just on a very high level, you will see that we've actually seen our charges from a criminal standpoint increase throughout the community. In 2025, a total of 454, which is a 15% increase on the previous year. And in 24 from 23, we had a 9% increase. So fairly significant increases in the number of charges that are being laid. That's not necessarily a reflection on the fact that crime has increased. We've also seen our clearance rate for incidents increase. So maybe it also means that we're investigating a little bit more thoroughly or a little better, or providing more expertise into those investigations. So I actually am one who is not disappointed to see that charges are going up, because that means our folks are out there doing their job and they're doing it well. Impaired driving is a good example of that. If we increase our ride within a community, I can promise you we will increase our impaired driving charges. It's just that simple. If you would like to see a decrease in impaired driving charges, the way around that is to stop doing ride or stop stopping cars. And I guarantee you will see your ride stop or your impaired numbers drop. So the increase in criminal charges is actually a good thing, in my opinion. As it relates to violent crime, now this is an important piece that I thought that I wanted to highlight for everybody. You will see that we did not have any homicides over the course of the last 3 years, which is of course very good news. And really where we saw the lion's share of what we would classify as a violent related offense stems from our assaults. Now, what I will tell you is that there were 17 over the course of 2025, which is about 1.5 a month. I've gone through those, and the vast majority of those are minor assaults in nature, but concerning because most of them are domestic related incidents, which, as we know, those types of situations can escalate over time. So not to downplay that, just the level of injury when I say was minor in nature, it was. However, a lot of them being domestic related is a concern, of course. And then property crime is the last slide that I'm going to specifically speak about. And this is an important one. And in my experience in Middlesex and certainly in Lambton, property crime is always one of those priorities for every community. And so it's one of the ones that I wanted to touch on a little bit today. You know, we look at these numbers and we see that there's a decrease within the community in property crime of 27% year over year. That's a good news story, but I would caution you with your optimism. and for this reason. And this is something that I touch on every time when I speak to both of our boards. Frauds are included within property crime. And we know that the statistics around frauds are ones that we need to be very cautious about. There is an embarrassment factor that comes with people who have been victimized by fraudulent activity. And as a result, we know that it is underreported. Folks get a little bit embarrassed that maybe they've been taken advantage of by some of these people, and then we don't hear about it. So cautious optimism when I see a 27% decrease in property crime overall, but I'm also alive to the fact that we just need to be very careful with that. What I do like seeing is a small decrease in break and enters. Now, that is something that we don't have a reporting problem with. When someone's home is broken into, generally speaking, we will find out about that immediately. And that is something that we should find out about. And so I am glad to see the break and enters dropped a little bit. I am going to speak to what we are doing to decrease that in a moment. Yeah, and then the last slide here is drug-related crime. Very little actual drug-related crime within the community. I will tell you in 2025, unfortunately, we did have one overdose death within the community. But outside of that, all of our drug-related incidents that I reviewed were minor possession in nature. So those are the highlights of the report itself that I wanted to speak on. Now I just want to go through a couple of other points for your awareness. So in 2025, we responded to a total of 1,804 calls within Plympton-Wyoming. That is consistent with what we've seen in previous years. 1,804 compared to 1,881 in 2024 and 1,766 in 2023. So really fairly static from an overall calls for service standpoint. What we have seen, though, is over the course of the last year across the county, we've seen some increases in some of our proactive enforcement, and that's a good thing. And I want to talk about that because that does impact your community. Ride overall, we've seen a 46% increase year over year. That's significant. An increase from up to 1,310 ride occurrences over the course of the entire year throughout Lambton County. Why does that impact you? Well, an impaired driver that we stop in Petrolia that's on his way to Reese's Corners doesn't drive down your main street and hit a child on a bicycle or something like that. Likewise, traffic stops are up almost 20% year over year. Over 10,000 charges laid by Lambton OPP members over the course of 2025. I appreciate the fact that charges are only one element of managing traffic safety, but it is an important element. What we do know is that when warnings are issued, that they are statistically not effective in changing high-risk driving behavior. And so our focus is really predicated upon what we refer to as the big four: speeding, seatbelts, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Of course, we enforce everything, but that is really the focus of where our traffic enforcement efforts lie, because we know that specifically those are the things that are leading to fatal collisions. And from an impaired driving standpoint, in Plympton-Wyoming, we arrested 4 impaired drivers over the course of 2025. Unfortunately, we arrested 258 throughout the county. What I will say about impaired driving is that the days of us being surprised arresting someone at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday morning for impaired driving are gone. That's unfortunate, but we pull impaired drivers off the road every day of the week, every hour of the day. It's an unfortunate reality, and that's why it is such a priority for us. So I want to touch on a couple of other points very quickly so you know where my priorities as your detachment commander lie. Overtime is important. Overtime is important to this council because it is part, as you know, of the OPP billing model, and it has a direct impact on what the cost of policing is that your residents have to pay. I'm very pleased to say that overtime in 2025 across the detachment was down almost 11%, which is significant. And on a 3-year average, we're down 9.7% year over year over year. So that is a good news story when it comes to the cost of policing in your community. I will tell you, I am very conscious of every dollar that we spend from an overtime perspective. Now, I will say this. I will 100% of the time spend every dollar that I have to ensure that our officers are safe and that our community is safe. If I need to upstaff something because of a particular situation that's going on, I will absolutely do that. What I'm very conscious of, though, is making sure that we're good stewards of our money when it comes to emergent overtime related costs. So when I do an analysis of our peak calls for service, I know our peak calls for service occur between 9 in the morning and 9 at night. And so as a result, I want to make sure we have the most people working during those hours as we can. I also know that our most amount of overtime is for 1 to 2 hours in length, and it occurs from 1800 or 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. at night. That's the end of day shift. Day shift ends at 6 p.m. 1 to 2 hours is someone working overtime at the end of the shift. Now, there's lots of legitimate reasons why that may happen, but it's a priority for us in our supervisory team to be very conscious of if an officer is still at the office at 7 p.m., why is that? There may be a good reason why they're on overtime, but that's an opportunity for night shift then to pitch in and get that person home, right? Lower the cost, it's better for their wellness as well. So we're also very strategic when it comes to decision-making around time off requests. I am not a fan of seeing an overtime request for officer backfill when good decisions have not been made around time off requests. Yes, our officers need time off, absolutely 100%. But we need to be very strategic and thoughtful when we're approving that time off. And so that is an expectation for every one of my 12 sergeants. Very high level, and I'm wrapping it up here for what my other priorities are, so you're aware. Our MCERT program, which is our mental health clinician program that sees a clinician riding with our officers Monday through Saturday, 12 hours a day, attending mental health calls and bringing a high level of expertise to those types of calls that our officers just don't have because we're police officers, not mental health professionals. Our OMAP program. Our OMAP program is our offender management and apprehension program. Now, this is a province-wide program that was implemented following the death of Constable Pershala in 2023. And essentially what it is it provides a high level of accountability for those individuals in the community that are deemed high risk, for example, released on firearms-related offenses, to ensure, frankly, they're behaving themselves and that they're abiding by their conditions. This is a big priority, not only from our commissioner, but also for me. We completed in 2025 197 compliance checks. That means knocking on the door of someone who's on judicial release to make sure that they're abiding by their conditions. Over the course of the year, 231 arrests specifically for individuals who were on outstanding warrants as a means of ensuring that if you are wanted in the community, we are bringing you back before the courts. I can tell you we have an initiative going on right now that's lasting for 2 months, specifically focusing upon these types of folks to make sure that if you're wanted on a warrant, we get you back before the courts in a quick timely fashion. Property crime reduction. I think it's very important that we make sure that we're bringing a high level of expertise to ensuring those investigations are maximized. That means our street crime unit reviewing every break and enter and every high level property crime to ensure that any trends that we see are noted and that any similarities in the MO for those that are committing those crimes is leveraged to try and catch those individuals. The expectation is also that our forensic unit is utilized on a case-by-case basis to ensure that any evidence is properly collected and examined. And then the last thing I'll touch on is professionalism. And I'm very big on this. I'm very big on our uniform, on how you look and on deportment. And I think that starts with me as the detachment commander. How we look is important, how we act is important, and how we interact with the public is important. Certainly that is an expectation I have for myself. And it's an expectation that I have for every member of Lambton OPP. So it's my hope that If any of you have an interaction with one of our officers, it is nothing but professional from the manner in which they speak, the manner in which they look, and the manner in which they make you feel. So those are my priorities very quickly. It's a lot to try and fit in. I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Inspector Stewart, and thank you, Chair. Now check with this evening. Council, are there any questions to my left?
Are you, gentlemen, going to have body cameras in Plympton, or has that been talked about?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, sir.
The reason I'm asking that question, when you're watching a lot of TV and what's going on south of the border, in Minneapolis, those cameras can certainly protect you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, great question, sir. Actually, our members do have body worn cameras now. We've just rolled those out as of October. I don't have one as an attachment commander. One of my other roles is as a critical incident commander, where I deal with hostage takings, high risk warrants, barricaded gunmen, those types of things. In those situations, I will wear a body cam. It's an excellent tool. It works both ways. It's great from an accountability standpoint for officer conduct. I'm just going to say it. But I can also tell you it's wonderful from a detachment commander standpoint to be able to very quickly address community concerns when they come forward. I take every one of those very seriously, and that allows me to physically watch and hear what's been said and sort of assess the legitimacy of those concerns. So, question.
Councilor Van Cleveren, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very good report. Part of this report every year. There's a lot of information to go over, but keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Deputy?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting and yeah, good work.
Thank you, Deputy. Thanks.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Yes, very good report. Overall, it looks like we live in a pretty good community, and it's well served by the OPP. I did want to touch on one comment or statistic you referred to, and I appreciate you only have a very small window to try and get a lot of things out. You mentioned the domestic violence, although the injuries may have been minor, which is a positive, but I mean, we do appreciate that, and I'm sure you do. The emotional impact that it can have is far greater. So that is a concern, and it is a concern that the numbers are up there. And in saying that, are you looking at any sort of strategic targeted campaigning or awareness or something to help curb those numbers? Because it is sad to see that.
Yeah, that's excellent comments and excellent question. Thank you. And yeah, to clarify that, by no means am I downplaying the significance of those. There are no more important incidents that we deal with than those incidents of domestic related violence. So, and even one instance is unacceptable. And the emotional impact that causes, there's no way of measuring that. So, to the councillor's point, there are some initiatives that we do have in process right now. First, I would point to our community service officers, Constable Robertson, and just my mind's gone blank. Our second community service officer, who Campbell, thank you, who on a regular basis will do community presentations and do community presentations on all sorts of topics, including domestic violence and intimate partner violence. And so that is an important tool that we utilize to raise awareness within the community, not only of the fact that it is a problem throughout all communities, I think, but also that there are avenues in which to get support and avenues in which to seek help, and also to understand what the police approach will be, which is a victim-centered approach to that. And what that means is it's always the victim of those instances is always treated very respectfully. That is the fundamental priority of our investigations. And so by having those community presentations, we hope that will assist folks in coming forward when these instances happen, because it can be an extremely difficult thing for a victim of intimate partner violence to have the courage to come forward. The other initiative that we do have is we have an officer dedicated to reviewing nothing but intimate partner violence incidents. And that officer is responsible for specifically reviewing every occurrence to make sure that every tool from investigative standpoint has been utilized and that the victim has been supported, and that appropriate follow-up is done at all stages of those investigations, including when those cases go to court, to make sure that those individuals are appropriately supported throughout that process. We call that officer our day officer. But essentially what that is it is a dedicated officer that focuses upon nothing but these types of occurrences to make sure that every T is crossed.
Thank you. Councillor Vaizey?
Good presentation. Thank you.
Bojan?
Yeah, the only quickly thing I'll say is I agree. I know there's a good relationship between the fire department and the officers. So there's a lot of good officers on that on your team. And I can't help but notice it's almost like community policing is coming back, because when you go to events between OPP constables and the auxiliary, that community policing aspect is there. They're building that trust. They're engaging with the public, and it's noticeable for the public. And the last piece I'll say is whenever we get speed complaints, we always refer people to the online reporting system. Anecdotally, I'll say for mine, I've had several complaints on a specific road in our specific area, and there's been a police presence on that road at least 3 times in the last 6 months. So I think that process at least works to an extent when community is sent to those avenues to submit complaints. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, again, excellent comment. So, whenever someone does put an online complaint in, it goes into an inbox at headquarters, and within 12 hours, it's in my email as an attachment commander to be actioned to the appropriate team. So we obviously take those very seriously. I'm really happy to hear that you've noticed the increase in community engagement. We shifted gears organizationally about 3 years ago on this. It used to be, let's do community policing. It's really important. Then we moved through a period of time where some people were upset because, the officer's not out doing their job if they're in, in an arena talking with kids. And now here we've come the other way. And I think we've realized organizationally how critically important it is for the community engagement aspect with our officers. We have a very structured approach to what we want our officers doing every day. And of that is a component of community engagement. So we want them walking through the arenas. We want them saying hello and interacting, and we want the community to know who their police officers are. There's a ton of value in that. Going back to incidents like intimate partner violence, where we know it takes a ton of courage for someone to come forward with that. How much easier is it for that person if they know that person on a first name basis and they can reach out to that person, right? That's where really the rubber hits the road in my mind on building those relationships through being really out in the community and getting to know people. So thank you for that. I'm very pleased to hear that you've noticed that.
Well, thank you again, Inspector and Mr. Nemchek. We really do appreciate your presentation, and I think always throughout the year, you've got a great relationship with you. We hope to continue that as we move forward. So
Likewise.
thank you again for here. We appreciate it,
guys.
Okay, council, let's try to get a few things done before our 6 o'clock drainage meeting. Now let's go to item number 5. Sure, there's nothing that's been added to this. All right, let's go to item number 6. I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Wolbeck. The minutes be adopted by council. Those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That would be our December the 10th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes, our regular closed council meeting minutes, the Trustler Drain and Associated Branch Drains Consideration Meeting. Meeting minutes, our McFarland Award Drain Extension Consideration Meeting minutes. And on the 15th of December 2025, our Planning Council meeting minutes, Planning Closed Council meeting minutes, and our Planning Public meeting minutes, Zoning Bylaw Amendment 110 of 2025. Also, you've had a chance to review them. Any questions? Call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, let's go to item 6.2. I have a motion by Councillor Vaizey, seconded by Councillor Bojan. That the minutes be adopted by council and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our November the 13th, 2025 Wyoming Public Cemetery and Inactive Cemetery meeting minutes. We have the chair here, Mr. Councilor Wolvett. Are there any questions, council? All those in favor? That is carried. All right, let's go to item 6.3, council's report. Deputy?
Oh, thank you. Mr. Wilbur?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Van Claveren. Oh, I know. No, Mr. Wilbur, if you got anything.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. We had our farm safety meeting last night, and we're getting ready for the annual meeting, which will be held on February the 5th. London Road West United Church at 7 p.m. But if you'd like a ticket for that, they're going to be about $30 per person. There will be one free ticket coming to town, but I'm assuming the mayor's powers, he will probably grab that ticket, and I'm not going to fight him for it. So, other than that, we're just discussing what we're going to do throughout the whole year. So that's about all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Van Claveren.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Nothing to
Good
report.
boy. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Bojan?
I think I know I can't remember for life of me if we met after Christmas in the Village or not, but we did. But the one thing I'll note is they're doing a debrief meeting. I believe it's at the next special events meeting with all the community groups to bring them together to have that debrief about the event. But it was very well attended, so I'm sure there'll be lots of good feedback from all the groups. And then I was going to mention the Kamalaki Firefighters Association fundraiser they're hosting next month, but we're not sold out. So
You're not,
next year
you are sold out.
we're sold out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, sounds
Stay
like.
tuned next year.
Okay, wait till next year. You could do one every month maybe. Thank you. Mr. Vaizey?
The only thing I have to report is we had an open house for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Very poorly attended. I think we had 7 people show up, so that part of it's disappointing. But there is still time to get your opinion in. It's still up on the website and whatnot. So don't come to us next year bitching about Parks and Rec when you didn't put any effort into the master plan, so. But it is good, it's looked good, it's come to council, I believe, February, March, or something like that. So,
You, yeah. Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Mr. or Councillor Vaizey, I believe there's also going to be a virtual session on the master plan. Is that correct?
what's right?
Virtual.
Yes. It was on a night that we had budget, so they were looking at a new date. That'll be cool.
Actually, I thought they were gonna do it on the 20th and someone said it was budget and so they're gonna change it, but 20th is okay for the virtual.
So maybe it is still on the 20th then. They
Oh,
were gonna double check that it didn't conflict, that's all. Well, not
Actually,
just
they said the
mistaken.
21st.
Jessica?
20th will be for stakeholders. The 28th, I believe, will be a virtual meeting for the public.
Did you hear that about the 28th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll post about it.
I'll go with that.
Thank you. That it?
As well, so I had a trails meeting and mapping meeting. So in trails, we're just discussing restructuring through the public health umbrella at the county. And mapping, we're moving along nicely, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I have nothing to report, Deputy.
Right, I don't have anything either, so.
All right, well, thank you, council. Let's go to 7.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the council remuneration claims for December of 2025 be approved for payment. All those in favor? That was carried. Okay, council, let's do a full request for drainage. And that's a good segue for Councillor Van Clower to take over at 6 o'clock. 8.1. Motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the report by Ryan Tamming, Drainage Coordinator, dated January the 5th, 2026, regarding a request for drain improvements for the Keating drain be received, and that council appoints M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated under Section 78 of the Drainage Act to produce a report based on the improvement request received November the 26th, 2025. We have Mr. Tamming with us. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. 8.2, moved by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. That the report by Ryan Tamming, Drainage Coordinator, dated January the 6th, 2026, regarding a request for drain improvements for the Jardine drain be received, and that council appoint R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated under Section 78 of the Drainage Act to produce a report based on the improvement request received October 28th, 2025. All those in favor? That is carried. At 8.3, I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Vaizey, that the report by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant Public Works, dated December the 22nd, 2025, regarding petition for drainage works by owners in Gallimere Beach be received, and the council accepts the petition as filed on December 19th, 2025, and the council appoints Spreet Associates Limited to make an examination of the area requiring drainage and prepare a report on the matter in conjunction with other petitions for Gallimere Beach properties. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, council, I think at that stage, we're going to stop this meeting, and I'm going to defer to Councillor Van Claveren for the drainage meeting, which will begin at 6 o'clock. Councillor, do you want the gavel?
I think I'll be okay.
All right.
Yes. Thanks for that, though.
Okay, so council, you got 3 minutes until 6 o'clock. We'll go with the drainage.
Okay, why don't we get this meeting started? I'm John Van Claveren, Chair of the Drainage Committee. Tonight, we have two public drainage meetings referred to as the quarter revision. The meeting where a landowner can appeal their assessment charges. They're part of the work being done. Board is made up of 5 councilmen. If there were appellants here or online, they would have the opportunity to speak. They chose to present their appeal, and they would be allowed to do so at the appropriate time. We'll start with our first quarter revision meeting for the McFarland Award Drain Extension. This time, if there are any pecuniary interests, we ask that you declare them. The purpose, once again, of the quarter revision is to hear appeals from landowners regarding the schedule of assessment only, as set out in the engineer's report dated November 21st, 2025 for the McFarland Award Drain Extension. The quarter revision has no authority to change the engineer's report in any way. The schedule of assessment may be altered, but the total must remain the same. If one assessment is reduced, then the other assessments must be increased to balance. Allow me to introduce the members of the court and the staff present. Our CEO, Adam Sabansky, Deputy Mayor McEwen, Councillors Bob Wovette, Alex Bojan, Mike Vasey, our Drainage Coordinator, Ryan Tamming, Drainage Clerk, Jessica Wilson. And the engineer on our project is Mr. Mike Garretts of M. Garretts Consulting Incorporated, who will now speak in regards to the assessment schedule. The floor is yours, Mr. Garrett.
Thank you. Through the chair and to the court. The open channel was assessed with 50% of the estimated costs as a benefit assessment. The remainder assessed as an outlet assessment to upstream properties based on equivalent hectares. Culvert 1, which is the culvert across the McFarland unopened road allowance. Less the special benefits. So we took the special benefits off, which is the road cost. And the rest were assessed with 50% of the estimated cost as a benefit assessment, the remainder as an outlet assessment to upstream lands based on equivalent hectares. The future grade line, the design of it has been assessed with 100% of the estimated cost as an outlet assessment. And the future culvert designs have been assessed with 50% of the estimated cost as a benefit assessment to the landowner, and the remainder assessed upstream. That's all there is with the assessment.
Very good. Thank you very much. Nobody online with us tonight? Doug, you have no questions about this particular drain? Thank you. Okay. Is there any questions on council to our engineer? I have a motion here moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen and seconded by Councillor Bob Wovette that the court accepts the schedule of assessment and maintenance for the McFarland Award Drain Extension as outlined in the engineer's report dated November 21st, 2025. All in favor? Carried. A motion moved by Councillor Bob Wovette, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the court revision meeting for the McFarland Award Drain Extension be adjourned. All in favor? That's carried. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll now do our 6:05, so we can go ahead and get started with our second public drain meeting for the quarter revision for the Trussler Drain and associated branch drains. If there's any pecuniary interest, now's the time to declare those, please, and thank you. Once again, the purpose of the quarter revision is to hear appeals from landowners regarding the schedule of assessment only as set out in the engineer's report dated November 28th, 2025 for the Trussler Drain and associated branch drains. Quarter revision has no authority to change the engineer's report in any way. The schedule of assessment may be altered, but the total must remain the same. If one assessment is reduced, then the other assessments must be increased to balance. Allow me to introduce the members of the court and the staff present. Our Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Councillors Bob Wovette, Alex Bojan, and Councillor Mike Vasey, Drainage Coordinator Ryan Tamming, Drainage Clerk Jessica Wilson, CAO Adam Sabansky, and once again, we're favored with Mr. Mike Garretts of M. Garretts Consulting, who is going to speak to the assessment schedule. Mr. Garrett's.
To the chair and to the court, sorry. This report is really incorporating existing infrastructure, so it's the assessment's pretty simple. The cost to repair the report was assessed with 100% of the costs and outlet assessment to upstream lands based on the number of residential lots, and then I equated the town lands on a residential lot basis. And it's also got section 31 allowances into the town because we had to assess them for the area court storm sewer, and then I provided allowance back just to give a cost for that to the report, but it just goes through, and that's about all there is with the allowances on this.
Very good.
I mean, with the assessments on this report.
No one online with us tonight on this drain either. Doug, I'm gonna ask you just out of courtesy, no? And anybody on council have a question on this one? Yes, Mr. Obet.
You see that in this assessment, you have the town properties, of course. Now you had the Kamalaki Cemetery on there. I don't believe that's residential and I don't believe they drained anywhere.
The Kamalaki Cemetery,
You know,
have to look at where it is. Like by the church,
yes, right beside the church, yeah.
B17.
Under Pete part 9. 0. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but you got that, you got the library, which I can understand that.
Yeah.
You have a dream, but cemetery, not that it's a lot of money, but still, what might come out of my budget and I don't.
It is in the watershed though, like it's in the actual watershed, so they're on the Truster drain that goes down Kamalaki Road.
Was not classified residential or.
Well, I put the residential lots, I could bring it down in the, I guess in the table, I have historically put them up in the residential portion of it if they're not ag and they're not roads to keep them, I guess, a little bit clearer when we look at the assessments, but it doesn't matter where they are in the schedule. Like you could have an ag land in a residential section of the drain, but it wouldn't make a difference, right? It's more about grants. We don't miss them on the grants, but where they are in the table, in the future, I can put them
Well, no,
public land.
Norma's not here. I was gonna ask her who budget that would come out of. Would that come out? The reason I'm asking whether it comes out of the budget, the same with the museum. But for now, let's just leave it because, I mean, you're only talking $86, but it's the point of the matter. It's not.
Yeah, but even if I moved it into the road section, it would still be a lot within the road, like in the public land section.
Well, and although the cemetery does not have a drainage system, it does sheet flow off to the adjacent roads, which then drain to the Trussell drain. So eventually the cemetery's water does get there.
Sounds like a pretty good explanation. Okay, we just, yeah,
They're not thirsty there, but
yeah.
So it is technically 100% of it drains into the drain. They should be charged more.
More people there, right? Yeah,
It's not absorbing them. It's more shedding it.
yeah, just a question.
Interesting segue. Any other questions?
Any intelligent question?
Councilor Obet?
No, I'm trying to think of somebody. Yeah, no. Good.
I have a motion signed here by Councilor Bob Wovet, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the court accepts the schedule of assessment and schedule of maintenance for the Trussler drain and associated branch drains as outlined in the engineer's report dated November 28th, 2025. All in favor? It's carried. A motion moved by Councilor Bob Wovet, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the Court of Revision meeting for the Trussler drain and associated branch drains be adjourned. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, eh?
Thanks once again.
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome back, everyone, from our drainage meeting. Now, let's go to item number 9.1. I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. Bylaw 1 of 2026 being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of $1 million as temporary financing for the town of Plympton, Wyoming be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, let's go to item 9.2. Moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Vaizey, that collection bylaw 3 of 2026 for the Faulkner Ramsey Drain be approved, be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly, and that an interim proportional levy be imposed on the ratepayers according to the attached schedule, which shall be collected in the manner outlined within the bylaw. All those in favor? That is carried. Nine point three, by Councillor Vaizey, seconded by Councillor Bojan. That bylaw 4 of 2026 being a bylaw to facilitate an agreement with Marcotte Disposal Incorporated for waste collection and disposal services be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. As you will remember, we had a presentation from Marcotte just recently on that, council. All those in favor? Oh, sorry,
Just one thing I wanted to add. So this current agreement, the verbiage from Marcotte, it states that compost is to be picked up 12 weeks of the year. At some previous meetings, it's discussed that Marcotte's willing to be flexible and only do 9 weeks, and just to change the pickup times as staff asks. So staff is recommending that perhaps we change the motion to sign the bylaw as amended, just so give us some flexibility on how often compost is picked up during the year. Just if we're looking at this agreement in 10 years from now, we know that we can change from 12 weeks down to 9 weeks if we want. And that we can also pick up 3 weeks in the spring and 6 weeks in the fall, or whatever staff decides makes sense for that year.
I think we talked about that. That's a good point. Council, okay with that? I'm just going to add, won't reread the motion, but I will just say as amended at the end. Okay, thank you, Deputy Treasurer. Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. I just have one quick question. Because this is it 7 or 10? Sorry, don't have it up in front of me, but with the increase in recycling items, that should hopefully reduce the amount of waste being collected. Over time will tell. Is there some flexibility, or do they do it by load or just by address?
Well, I think, are you talking about recycling, Councillor?
No, so I'm talking about I am in conjunction with garbage pickup. In conjunction with each other, in the sense that because recycling, you're allowed to put so much more in than you were before, that should actually reduce the amount of garbage going to the curb. So I don't know how that affects things down the road, if that makes sense.
Mr. Sabansky?
So that would affect the overall tonnage that is charged, that is taken care of by the County of Lambton. So during amalgamation, the County of Lambton is responsible for the disposal of solid waste, although we're responsible for collection of the solid waste. So the County of Lambton pays the per ton fee for waste disposal. So that value could go down theoretically. But I don't think it would affect our stop count per se, because they're still traveling, and the capacity of trucks are what they are. So typically they can do a large set area of properties. So the effects may be minimal per se, especially when you look at Plympton-Wyoming has large item pickup on a weekly basis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, council, I'll go back, call for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, let's go to item 9.4. Moved by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vaizey, that bylaw 5 of 2026 being a bylaw to authorize execution of an agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario, the town of Plympton-Wyoming be taken as read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign said bylaw accordingly. That's our Ontario Fire Prevention Cancer grant, which is a good thing. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Council, let's go to item number 10. 10.1. Moved by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that correspondence suggests the following motion. That council receives the correspondence from AMO regarding the OMERS changes and Bill 68, and the council supports the included draft resolution. Deputy?
I received that owner's pension, so should I be, can I ask the question, should I be declaring a conflict? Because I think if this governance is changed, it's gonna affect the financials of it, so I'm declaring a conflict.
Okay. Dr. Bojan, you as well?
See if I am normal.
How about you, Bob? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I think I'll stay, try to get me some more money.
Thank you, Deputy. What's the tension? Any questions on this motion? Dr. Wolvette?
Well, yeah, it's in reading into it, these pension plans are not the only ones that are trying to adjust pensions, but what I read into some of this, is this could cost the municipalities more money because of some of these changes. It's right in their own report. I don't quite understand it all, but I think what I'm going to suggest is that our CAO get a little more involved in it. Let's find out what we can do and what we can't do to influence. I'm sure he already has, but yeah, I think it's being questioned throughout all the municipality. What the heck are you doing? So people don't want to lose money, and we as a municipality don't want to pay more money. So we just need more info.
Okay,
Thank you. I would defer to our treasurer, who looks after the owners program for the municipality.
So I've been doing some reading and trying to see all the moving parts of this. And so the province wanted a review of how the corporation runs OMERS. And so it's called the POA review. Anyway, so the key changes that came through on that review is they're going to dissolve the sponsors corporation that runs OMERS, create a new sponsor council with an independent administration corporation with the province. A few things that there's going to impose a statutory duty of care on council members, requiring them to act in good faith. So the new people on the new board, they'll have to act in good faith. But how does that overseen? This does grant more to this new corporation, more power, and including the ability to veto council decisions and set compensations. So now there's just a lot of moving parts, and it's hard to understand where or why the province is getting involved in my little world. So I then read a bunch of information that came through from the unions, and the unions are scared that the members are going to lose their power and voice in OMERS, and that the new bill and the new council will have more government control and less transparency and in regarding to their new duties and information collection. And the new council allows the minister, which is provincial, to collect personal information from owners and exempt this collection from standard privacy rules, raising concerns about how the government's going to influence it. It's very hard to understand. Anyway, and then OMERS, in the last 10 years, their board does all the investing and whatever to ensure that there's enough money to pay all the pensions. In the last 10 years, there has been no rate increases. So obviously they're doing an excellent job. Anyway, so the OMERS review its financial health to balance members' needs, employers' costs, and long-term viability, and that's what they've been doing. So there's concern from stakeholders, unions. Anyway, the strong investments that the OMERS has made and contributions have improved, that the plan has funded its status, allowing rate stability and keeping and ensuring that there's funds there to pay all the pensions going forth. And then now we have the province.
Sticking it over.
You know, it works. Why are we breaking it?
You haven't had any major issues.
We haven't.
That's well,
That is an excellent report. And that's exactly what I got out of it, because I've been involved in pension plans before with a big organization that I worked with. And the changes that were brought about in that particular organization. Usually it ends up, I think we kind of do around here with our upper tier governments, get their hands on it. Very seldom there's not some kind of an increase or decrease somewhere, either the top or the bottom. That's what so your report was right on the way I was thinking, what in the world, why are they trying to get their hands on this pension? Number one, there's probably a lot of money in that OMERS pension plan, a lot of money. We've went through this with Canada Pension and everything else, what they do with our money when they get a hold of it. And same thing with Canada Pension. You hear rumors it's gonna run out and this and that, or the government's investing it here and there. Same thing with this, and even the veto power. Councils, can veto councils. This is getting to be a common theme with the federal government about vetoing, or making somebody more powerful than the next guy. So it's following a trend that we're seeing at kind of all levels, not like, it just seems to be a trend coming that they want the control of all of it. And I'm hoping, Norma, you mentioned the unions, I'm hoping that they got enough power to make sure they know what's going on for their union members. What we can do about it, probably very little, to be honest with you. It's a union, kind of a union thing, other than they can veto us and we say we're not paying an increase. Oh, yes, you are. You're vetoed. So yeah, it's pretty complicated.
Here's though that we support emos going after them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, find out what in the world's going on. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. And thank you, Norma, for providing more explanation for this. When I did reading on it, there was that Poirier report who made some recommendations to the changes, but there's also a report before that, around 2011, from a different fella. What I took away from a lot of it was that there was you have two different council or corporation and then some council or administration side going on, and the two seem not to be in sync with each other, so to speak, and that's kind of what's created a lot of this coming out of it, because they couldn't seem to see the same strategic path forward or weren't aligned, and then some other council got formed to try and get them all to agree to the same thing, and that didn't work out. So I think that is more to why maybe this is happening, but I don't agree, and I obviously support you in the sense that other solutions could have been maybe looked at without going to these extremes, but that's the province for you. They just want to take it away instead of maybe help support bringing it in to a more aligned system. So that was my thoughts. Thank you.
Councilor Vacy, anything from you?
No, whenever they stick their nose in, that's to their benefit. So I don't understand why, I guess I do have a comment. The people that are in OMERS should be running OMERS. It's their pension. I don't understand. I don't understand why they're doing it, but no, I agree. We should leave it alone. Let them run it. It's their money.
Clerk, anything from you?
Oh, excuse me, I agree with all the comments, and I think the best way forward is to get on board with AMO. They're leading the group on this, and I think every single municipality that can support it is a benefit to all of us that get an OMERS pension, and the town paying an OMERS pension.
Good. Right. Councilor Van Claveren, anything from you?
No, Councillor Wolvette covered everything there.
Okay, let's call for the vote. All those in favor of supporting AMO and they move forward. That's carried. Norma, could you let them back in? Welcome back, Deputy and Councillor. All right, let's go to item 11.1 on the agenda. I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Wolvette. Correspondence items A to G. A to G related to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. Councillor Bolgen, anything from you?
No, thank you.
Councillor Vacy?
No, thank you.
Councillor Rodriguez? I think you're muted there.
Yeah, I'm just unmuting. Thank you. The item D, the AMO submission on the proposed regional consolidation of the conservation authorities.
Okay, item D, yep. Would you like to pull it or and support it?
Not sure there is a resolution with it. If there is, yes, I would like it pulled for support.
Okay.
It appears to be just for information purposes. Doesn't seem to be a motion directly.
Okay, CAO has told me that it's just a recommended reading. There's no thing there, but I think it's good to bring it forth and for us to look at. Sure.
Yes,
Okay, anything else for you? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
All right, Deputy?
You know, I was reading over this one from Brantford about the reform and publication of Ontario Sex Offender Registry and how that should be, well, they should have more, how shall I say this? I'm trying to be nice, okay? So give me a little bit of,
Do you want me to come back to you?
why don't you do that?
Okay, Councillor Van Claveren.
Nothing from me, sir. Thank you.
Councillor Wolvette?
I don't have anything there, sir.
All right, so I guess I'm back to you, Deputy.
That was quick.
There should be more punishment for these sex offenders. And I thought castration would be good. Anyway, that's the end of my comments.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt, they wouldn't hurt anybody else, would they? There you go.
Okay, well, you're out of the independent this week.
Yeah, goes my byline.
All right, so would you like?
No, I was being a little facetious.
All right, yeah, I guess we have nothing, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All right, new business. Counselor Wobet.
I'll bring one up that I've brought up a couple of times in the past, and I know we've had some answers on it, but I'll be short and sweet. Natural gas distribution. And I'm going to say Plympton-Wyoming and Lambton County. I think you know, it's been brought up to me several times now about areas in our own municipality either don't have water or don't have natural gas at this day and age. And every time you turn on the news, we want to ship our natural gas and everything out of the country to somebody else. I think it's time for us to, I don't know who we talk to, but let's talk about natural gas distribution system. Let's get a map. I think we've had that before, of where we have natural gas lines here and where we don't. Let's start to push this. And I do know that, I think it was the federal government was certainly not supporting natural gas. They wanted green, go green, go green. A lot of that, you know, the support around natural gas distribution that wasn't there. We're talking a couple of years back now. But I think times have changed, and I think we need to take a look. I mean, there are so many places right in this municipality are still burning oil or propane, stuff that's very expensive. We have all kinds of farmers out here that would just love to have natural gas for their drying and stuff, buying propane at probably double or triple the price.
Even for their homes.
Even for the homes. Now, I do realize, and I think Adam has given a very accurate report on this. If those people down some of them roads want to pay for natural gas to run the line down there, then maybe they can get natural gas, but it doesn't really make sense. I think this people that are supplying it should put the lines down, and then you pay like you do for water so much to bring it into your homes. Anyways, let's get it on the agenda again for this year. And I don't know if we involve our MPP or MPs and stuff, but let's start to push this because there's an interest out there right within Plympton-Wyoming and Lambton County to get natural gas. Yesterday was out the Ellerton line, had breakfast with my buddy Joe Boris, and you know, the natural gas line runs right down the road, then runs down to by Joe's place where he got natural gas. The house in the corner, the natural gas line in turn went to the east. They would have wanted it was going to cost them $18,000 to go across the road. That kind of thing. So there, the guy looks out his window. There's the natural gas line. But so, anyways, distribution.
We're not alone. There's a lot of municipalities that are looking at the same thing.
Look at Warwick, how they fought. And I'm not even sure. Do they have it now?
No, they're still fighting.
Remember that. So, anyways, let's get it on the agenda again and see what. Do anything.
Mr. Sabansky?
I will follow up with Enbridge's municipal government representative. It's been quite a while since we've spoken to them about where expansion is at, so I think it's appropriate for them to give us an update.
Okay. It would be nice to see a distribution map. Let's keep it within Plympton-Wyoming, and let's see. Let everybody here see where it is, where it isn't. An accurate map of what's not being supplied.
All right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Van Claveren?
Nothing for me, sir.
Debbie? Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Councillor Wolvet. I mean, we're in a seemingly modern society and we can't get a cell signal. A lot of our community still doesn't even have water lines and affordable options for heating and cooling. I know somebody right on O'Brien Road, still having to truck in very expensive oil for heating, shallow well. Like, so I think us supporting them and trying to find ways to, I mean, it is our responsibility. I mean, it's our bucket for water lines. So, I mean, what do all these things look like? So we can help our community grow in a modern way. And some of these things do stifle the ability to have some sort of proper growth in our jurisdiction with these pockets that are lacking services. Reese's Corners is another example. So I agree with that. And so I saw in the news about Watford and Petrolia. They're going to do some sort of waste transfer liquid waste from the Watford site to the Petrolia wastewater facility. Do we know what corridor they would use for that transportation? Since we do seem to have a lot of trucks coming through Wyoming, I just want to know if those would be included now in that route.
I am not aware of it, but I would presume, I'm only presuming they would come up 79 and then go to up Troy Line, but I'm not positive on that. I don't think we know yet, Counselor.
Okay, just because there's the highway too, they might choose the highway and then get back off. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to affect us, but I'm not sure what yet.
Is there a way we can find out what they have planned for that?
I believe Mr. Sabansky is going to check that out for us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Counselor Vasey?
Yes, just one item. Had a good talk with a concerned citizen who didn't want his name mentioned, Mark Stedman, and about our Christmas lights that we have up along the streets. He puts them up every year, and they're getting to the point that it's time to replace them. So budget coming up, we should have a look at that, that these half of them are busted and the other half are so heavy now that he's getting older to put them up. But they're getting, they've been there since I've been here, I think, so they're at least 25 years old, the ones that are there. So something to consider when we're looking at the budget. I told him I would pass it along to you.
Clerk?
Just a quick question. Can we clarify which Christmas lights, not the decorative ones and not the strings across the road? Which ones are they?
Well, both actually.
Okay.
The pole ones are the ones he was concerned with. And the ones going across the road were just not really a commercial light when they went up. So as you can tell, they're starting to fade and they're pulling apart and whatnot. So if we're doing one, maybe look at that, all of them, but the pole ones were his biggest concern for now.
Mr. Sabansky?
Thank you. So I know the ones crossing the road were replaced and they are of a higher grade.
They go, okay.
They were, the first lights that were put up were of a lower grade and they did not last very long. These ones have lasted actually quite a while. I think we put them up just in and around COVID. But there is a few light bulbs that are starting to go out, so there is maintenance to be done there for sure. We've heard loud and clear that Christmas lights are in need of replacement. It's started to become loud and clear as they're going up this year. So after we had more or less finished budget, so they have not been included in the budget, nor have we priced them out at this time. But we were intending to bring pricing forward for that in the 2027 budget. But I can see if staff can scramble to get some pricing on that, just in case council wants to discuss that further at the forthcoming budget.
If you would, please. Is it? The pound number, it does have to be. I wouldn't have a clue what one of those things would cost. Thank you.
I did too have somebody on my doorstep driving a red truck.
Okay.
All right, Councilor Bojan.
I just have one quick comment. Mr. Silva's not here to pass it on, but I just wanted to, we had that ice storm on Boxing Day, so I'm sure our crews were called in and worked extra time. So just a shout out to them because I'm sure there's more winter weather coming too.
Good, thank you. The only thing I have is on the map that came out about the recycling. There's been some concerns, of course, about when your pickup is, but I think a lot of the confusion is those two colors kind of blended. The zone, especially around the Wyoming area. And I know Mr. Silva's not here, but maybe he could do another one or something with different colors that helps our residents. Yes, Ms. Juice.
So staff agree that those colors are not ideal. Circular Materials put out a schedule for the recycling pickup, and the colors that they have in their documents are those colors. When I asked if they could update their coloring to match our, in my opinion, better colors, they said no, because their colors were accessibility friendly. I don't understand why, but so I did change the colors to match their colors because I didn't think it made sense to have two different sets of colors floating around out there. But we have discussed updating the colors on the map maybe later.
Yeah, I think it's just a normal thing that we're gonna have some confusion. I did get caught myself. Councilor Bojan?
Yes, and sorry, that refreshed my memory too, because I had a few conversations when Route 1 in the Camp area had their first pickup. And I did see a response someone got from the provider that it is not out of the norm that collection is not going to be until 6 or 7 p.m. at night. So 'cause I know there was a lot of, I know I got some texts when the recycling wasn't picked up and I saw the truck running at 7 p.m. So I don't know if that's messaging that we can help echo, but it seems like that is exactly the norm, that it'll be late afternoon pickups for recycling.
A little different than our early morning. Sure. Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. If I could add to that as well, and I did speak to Aaron and Jessica, I think, about it. How Circular Materials sent out all their pamphlets, but they sent them out, just gave a bunch to post offices and had them send them out to everybody. So residents in Blue Point, for example, ended up with Plympton Shores Circular Materials documents, and there were people like Ono closer to Sarnia who ended up with Sarnia's. So some people were actually inadvertently following the wrong schedules as well.
Yep, that's for sure. Councilor Wilbett?
One more question on this garbage and recycle. What's happened with the commercial pickup? Because what I'm hearing is just going into garbage, which is not what we promote, to put recycle in garbage. Is there a commercial? Are they picking up commercially here? No, I didn't think so.
Update recently on it. So to the best of my understanding, staff had worked with all the commercial property owners to give them options in regards to what is available for pickup. But if those private businesses chose not to follow up with a private recycling company, there's not a lot stopping them from stuffing it in the garbage, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not a good thing. I don't think. All the years we've been trying to get people to put it into recycle bins, so it's not going in landfill. That's the issue. It's landfill, filling up these landfills. So I don't know what we do about it, but once again, I think we're gonna have to go back to the government and say this is going into the garbage and going into landfill. And getting back to our previous conversation, you're just gonna up the tonnage on garbage, which the county's gonna pay for. They're putting it all in garbage. So it's a topic it's everywhere. It's not just us.
It's very common in rural municipalities. Small town rural municipalities had a tendency to pick up a lot of their small town rural commercial developments because they were smaller in scale, where in larger cities it was very uncommon to do so and they were required to have services. So we are seeing the consistent political divide between what the province passes and how it's applied in rural Ontario through this very program.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I just go do it myself. Let's ask the question. Where are you putting your garbage? Are these commercial? You put it in the garbage, or where are you putting your recycle? I mean, they're all putting it in the garbage. It's just not right. Anyway, that's your government. They did a great job of taking over the recycling.
Your government too, Councilor.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right.
Okay, that's all we got for new business. So at this time, I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. Item A, litigation matters. Section 239, bracket 2, bracket E. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality of the local board. All those in favor? That motion is carried. So those that are joining with us virtually, thank you very much for being with us this evening. We'll be going in camera, coming out briefly to close down for the remainder of the evening. Thank you again.